Tonight's talk is called Your Ego is Not Your Enemy. In fact, it is your greatest friend and ally. And so before I get into how your ego is your greatest friend and ally, let's do some definitions here. Can you guys hear me okay? Raise your hand if you can hear me all right. Okay, good, good, good. Carl Jung defines the ego as the center of consciousness, whereas the self with a large S is the center of the total personality, which includes consciousness, unconsciousness, and the ego. And so so the ego is about making the difference between I and not I, not as opposing forces. This isn't about the difference between good and evil or right and wrong. This is the difference simply between the I and not I. We can stand next to other I's. We can hold their hands. We can hug them. But here's the thing about all this. Before we were born, we were at one. There was no I. So there was something that attracted us to wanting to be an I, to wanting us to live on this dualistic plane and experience the adventure of it, the excitement of it, the beauty of it. Something wanted us to come down here and do this. Marie-Louise von Franz states, the actual process of individuation, the conscious coming to terms with one's own inner center, or self with a large S, generally begins with the wounding of the personality, with the ego, wounding of the ego. And then the ego reaches an impasse of one sort or another and has to turn for help. And so what happens here is our egos get wounded, and so then they want to compensate, and so then they act out. We act out in these larger ways, and most of the people we consider to have big egos are really just insecure, wounded folks who need to heal to have that healthy, strong ego of self, so that of the difference of I that then can allow them to grow into the bigger I, which is the self, which is the large S. Are you with me? Take a deep breath. I know this is a little heady. We start out with an ego that states, I am I. And that is really, really important because we live in an I plane where there is I and not I. And it is I that experience everything that goes on. But there is this greater I called what Carl Jung called self with a large S that encompasses the ego, encompasses everything that is unconscious within us, and encompasses the greater self that is in commune with the bigger one. So for those who want to kill their ego, get away from it, all they're doing is killing that part of themselves that needs healing. We don't need to kill our egos. We need to heal them. Make them strong and solid so that we don't have to compensate by being too prideful, and so we act with no humility, or too big an ego, so we demand so much. But that isn't because those egos are healthy. It's just the opposite. They are not. A strong, good ego is exactly what we need to find what is beyond that. Now, I was not clear on all this until about 5 years ago, when I found a book by Dr. Gerald May called Will and Spirit. And in his book, I read a paragraph that struck me so powerfully because it spoke so deeply to how I have spent my life that I wound up crying for almost 45 minutes. And what he spoke about in this book was the idea that, well, before I tell you what he spoke about in the book, let me tell you why that struck me so much. When I was 18, I had an experience of lying in a field looking up at the stars where I disappeared. And I felt completely at one with everything. There was no I. And it felt like such home. And it felt so divine that I wanted to live there. I didn't just want to experience that for the few moments I did. I wanted to live there, and had spent the next 35 years doing everything I knew to do to live in that place of oneness. and failed at it. I have achieved moments, but I never achieved living there. And then I get a hold of this book by Dr. Gerald May, who says, you're not supposed to live there. You're just supposed to visit. That we came here to be willful and willing, to open up to spirit and will. That the ego is what makes us unique, is what gives us our gift. And he said very clearly in the book, those who strive to live in oneness hurt their self-esteem so badly that their wounds grow deeper for what they cannot achieve. And they live in tremendous self-doubt. And up to 5 years ago, that was me. I was that person. But then he said, it's a matter of visit, not living there. And once he said that, the light bulb went off in my head and I felt released. I felt like something, I'd been reborn. It was like, oh my God. And then I realized that those of us who were striving to live in that place of oneness were pretty much the same as all those grown-up kids who still live at home. It's a failure to launch situation. It was an immature look at spirituality. That there was something since then where I feel like I have grown up into who I truly am. And now, like I do with my mom, who I call twice a week and check in, I meditate to check in with the oneness. You know, there's this great saying that when you meditate, you are listening. When you are praying, you are talking. It takes both to have dialogue. Just like when you're on the phone with your mother. You don't want that conversation one way. You listen, you talk. You listen, you talk. You do the same here with that sense of experience. And then we bring that sense of oneness, that memory of it, that experience of it into our eye. And then bring it into the world. And from that place of health, I have grown dramatically in terms of my ability to create in life, in terms of building my confidence, in terms of building myself into the person I am today. It has been an extraordinary journey to find my way through owning my ego, through healing it, nurturing it, loving it, and recognizing that it is what makes me unique. Your ego is your gift, is what brings your gift to life. Otherwise, you're the same as everybody else. But your ego is what makes you unique and magnificent. It makes you beautiful. There are no two people, billions and billions of people on this planet, and there are no two people, even twins, who are exactly the same. Each of us unique because of our egos. It is our greatest ally and our greatest friend, and deserves our nurturing and deserves our love. Because when it's healed and focused, then from that place, when we have compassion, it's not a matter of oneness. It's a matter of connectedness. And they're different. Connectedness and oneness are different. Because you can feel connected in a dualistic world, a three-dimensional world. But in one, there's nothing to be connected to. It's all one. And so what we have here, we came into these lives to express our creativity through our ego, through our oneness, to be willful in what we bring to life. And yet, remember where we came from and tap into that to give us strength, to give us foundation. Our spiritual practice is a magnificent way to build the self that is the larger us with the big S. And it also brings that healing to the smaller self, the ego. so that we can feel connected. So it's magnificent that we have experiences of oneness. But I do not recommend striving to live there. One of the other things that goes into this is pride and humility. They are not uniquely exclusive. They are not mutually exclusive. We want to be proud of ourselves. And we have a right to be. We have a right to be proud of what we create in the world. And yet we can still have humility in that pride. Those who are prideful without humility, that once again is because of a wound that is yet to heal. That is not because they have too much pride. That is because they have too much wound. When we sit and be proud of ourselves, and yet have humility in the awesomeness of life, what we experience is a compassion for those who suffer. What we experience is a love for our compassion for ourselves and a love for ourselves. Through a healthy ego, we know our place in the world and are proud of who we are. It is our journey through the ego that allows us to have a spiritual life that is grounded in a three-dimensional world. So do not try to kill your ego. Feed it, nurture it, love it, and make it healthy. Because it is through that health, wholeness, that the larger self expands from a grounded place, and our creativity exudes from us in a way that we have never, ever experienced before. The deeper we ground in a healthy ego, the larger we expand into the world at large. With compassion, love, so proud of ourselves, and yet so humbled by the massiveness and majesty of the universe in which we live. These are not exclusive things. Celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate it. It's beautiful. You are beautiful. And you bring a beauty to life that no one else can bring. Love your ego. Because it's what makes you you. Stand up for the truth of who you are. And your life will shine. It is a place to contribute from. And what you will contribute from that place will be uniquely you that is contributing. No one else can contribute exactly what you can. This is really important. Ego doesn't make us selfish. Ego helps us to be whole so that what we contribute is uniquely ours to do it. And that's what makes it your best friend. Let's do a meditation on this. Sit back, take a deep breath, and relax. Close your eyes. And as we do here, imagine yourself on a path. It is the perfect path. It is your path. The sights, the sounds, the air against your skin, absolutely perfect. Maybe this path is in the woods. Maybe it is up in the clouds. Wherever it is, on a beach, it is your perfect path. The path leads to a clearing. It is the perfect clearing. It is your sanctuary. And in the middle of the clearing, there is a chair. It is the perfect, most comfortable chair you can imagine. And when you go and sit in it, you feel the of the wonderful comfort of this chair. And from this place of receptivity and relaxation, take another deep breath and relax even more. And now imagine your ego at the center of your being. Embrace it. Feel yourself nurture and love this part of you that is unique and like no one else that ever was or ever will be. You are not just unique at this point in time. You are unique at all points in time. Feel yourself surrounding your ego with love and light and celebrating the unique magnificence of who you are. And from this place of celebration, imagine your bigger self. Emanate this light, this ego light, larger as you grow larger into the big self with the big yes that is your higher self that still embodies your ego, still holding it, loving it. Feel your larger self connect with all the other larger selves that ever were and ever will be. And in the center of all these other larger selves is their unique egos being held in love and light by their larger selves. Feel how there's room for everyone. All our lives touch. Everyone inside the one. Unique, diverse, connected. Thank yourself for this time you have spent loving that part of you that is unique and yet divine. Thank yourself for loving all of humankind in its unique and magnificent ways. And when you're ready, open your eyes.